Hello everyone, this is Banter Bill, and welcome to Crucible of Eternity, Path 3 Dungeon Guide. This is not a speedrunning guide, but a guide meant for those who are new to the dungeon, or for those who need a refresher. In terms of food, on my warrior I use lifesteal food and I use sharpening stones. There are so many different types of enemies in this dungeon that slaying potions really aren't that useful. So we're starting off this dungeon. There will be 3 ice elementals that come towards you. The main attacks that you need to watch out for are their AoE circle attack and an ice V attack. If you see the ice V, you need to get behind it or dodge out of it. If you have reflex, you can reflect the ice V, but your reflect needs to be down before it even spawns. As you can see, that ice V downed 2 of my teammates. Alright, then we're just going to kill this last elemental that we didn't manage to kill in the first pull. And then we're going to fight these wolves. The thing to watch out for on these wolves is that they start off with a knockdown attack. Since there are 2 of them and they spawn friends, they can chain knock you down. If you have a thief, you want to use blinds. If I find myself in a group without blinds, I usually equip a shield and try to draw out that knockdown attack. We have a good thief, he uses his blinds, and we quickly take down these adds. Then we're off to fight this champion. This champion is technically optional, however most groups will fight him for the champ bag, and Spire may get stuck on the champion if you decide to skip him. If you want to be safe, you can let Spire draw aggro, because this wolf has a very powerful attack. That ice that you just saw on the ground almost always insta-downs you if you're a light or medium class. It's also hard to predict, so it's easier just to let Spire draw out that attack first thing. Alright, then we killed the champion, and we're off to pick our path. I recommend that you run into this room until you get the waypoint, and you can come back for Spire and give her swiftness. I use Banner 3 and my Warhorn to speed her up a bit.
Stand back. Watch me push a button. Ooh, maybe I'll flip the lever.
Alright, we pick Path 3, and then we're gonna fight Subject Alpha. You should get used to this guy as we do all the paths and all of this dungeon. You'll fight him 9 times. So for Path 3, the main thing you need to watch out for are those AoE rings. You want to dodge 2 seconds after you see the rings. Now, if you have a class that doesn't have access to Vigor, this may be a problem for you. That's why if I'm in pickup groups, I use my Warhorn on my warrior. If you are a warrior, you should have no problems, even without Vigor, because you can just use your greatsword dodge. For the first fight on Alpha, you just have to bring him down to 50% health, and then you're on to the next part. However, he will not drop a champ bag on this iteration of Alpha. So now we're going to fight a bunch of elite golems. Most groups now will fight them inside the room, however I've still seen some groups pull them to that outside hallway. As a warrior, I like to knock them down first thing and just DPS burst. If you have blinds, you want to use those. If you're a guardian, you want to use stability. And we just quickly DPS down these golems. One of them didn't exactly stack with us, we just had to clean up a bit. Alright, now off to the lasers. People find this difficult, although once you get used to it, it's not bad. The trick I use is to face sideways and use my strafe key and then just jump all the way down. It looks like I'm jumping backwards, but I'm actually jumping to the side. If you're on those right two consoles, you can hit both at once. That's why I asked this guy to switch with me. He wasn't in the correct position. If you want to hit both at once, you have to stand in the middle of those two consoles. The goal here is to press them all at the same time, so I like to do a countdown for my team so we press them. If you're standing at a console, I presume that you are ready, so there's no need to say R.
Did they pay her by the word?
Then we're off to fight this Golem champ. The mechanic here is that he has 4 turrets that will give him buffs if they hit him. Now you can reflect these turrets and you won't get those buffs, so bringing a Mesmer and using boon stripping is useful. If you're a Guardian, you can use Wall of Reflection and Shield, and Stability is also useful for his knockdown attack. If you can, you want to keep him near the protection turret, so you can both cleave the turret and the boss at the same time. That's what I try to do. I don't really bother trying to kill the other turrets. The protection turret is the one you really need to worry about. If he drops his static field, you do not want to walk through that because it both stuns you and hurts a lot. If you're standing where the protection turret spawns, sometimes you can cleave it down before it even spawns.
Stick with me.
Then we're off to the Canaan Event. The goal here is to defend Spire and her cannon from suicide exploding golems. To do that, you just need to kill the golems before they explode. If you kill them, they won't explode. These golems don't have a lot of health, so they shouldn't be a problem if you're in Berserker gear. Periodically throughout this event, 2 elites will spawn. You can go ahead and kill them. If you're a Guardian or a Mesmer, you want to attempt to pull them together so you can cleave them. Depending on your DPS, these elites will spawn twice during this event. So we're just killing golems and making sure that the golems do not explode near Spire and his cannon. At about 90 to 95%, you want to get near where the chest is going to spawn because we're going to run and hide it very quickly. So you get the chest, wait for the door to blow up, and then run immediately to the left. The reason we do this is because we want to skip this champion that's patrolling by. This champion is very annoying. I avoid this champion at all costs, so it's critical that you're near the chest and through the door right when it blows up. Alright, we wait for the champion to patrol by, and then we're on to fight these trash mobs. Technically, you can skip these trash mobs if you want to, however they do drop relatively good loot, so most groups will go ahead and kill them. For these Abominations, the main thing you need to watch out for is their suicide explosion. You can just dodge and avoid it. Alright. Technically, you can also skip these elite mobs that are coming up. However, they go down so quickly, I just think it's worth it to kill them. As a warrior, I wait for the Berserkers to do their axe spin attack if I can, then I knock them down with Mace 5. That axe spin attack is deadly. If you're in the radius of that axe spin, you want to get out of there ASAP. Alright, now we're off to fight Alpha for the second time.
I could outrun a centaur.
Now most groups will still stack here in this corner, even with the FGS nerf. Technically you don't need to stack in a corner, or you can stack right there next to that pillar. Because of FGS you can, if you want, just fight them in the open. However, again, most groups will still stack here. Now he has one additional mechanic from his previous fight. In addition to dropping his AoE circles that you need to dodge after 2 seconds, he will randomly freeze someone in a purple crystal. To get them out of the crystal, you just need to melee that crystal down. Now there is a bug that if you have too much DPS, you can kill the crystal before it even spawns. However, the person it spawns on will still be frozen for the full duration of the crystal. So if you have too much DPS, you can really screw over one of your teammates. But other than that, this fight's the same. You want to dodge into the corner so Alpha stays where he is. Again, you can use Greatsword 3 if you're a warrior. I sometimes bring Warhorn for the bigger 5 if I feel like my group may need that extra dodge.
By Cormier. What were they thinking when they did this?
Alright, then we'll have to fight these trash mobs. These mobs are also skippable, however they do have a chance to drop Vicious Claws, so most groups will go ahead and kill them. Alright, now most groups will skip the trash run that's coming up. If you have a thief, you can stealth to make it easier. Now these trash mobs can one-hit down you, so you need to be careful when you run past them. I usually just dodge past them because I'm afraid they're just going to hit me as I pass them by. Additionally, you want to avoid those AoE fires in the hallway, and that champion can also one-hit down you. So this is a somewhat dangerous trash run. Alright, now we're off to fight the next boss. So the mechanic here is that you have to hit all 3 lasers at around the same time to bring down the boss's shield. Once you bring down the shield, you go into the middle and melee him down for about 25 seconds, and the shield will come back up. Now, one person in the group will get aggro, and a dragon tooth will drop on them. If you have aggro, you do not want to be on a cannon, because if that tooth hits you, it'll knock you down and interrupt your cannon F skill. So we just jump down to the middle and start meleeing him down. I think we would have had enough DPS to do this in one go. However, we decide just to be safe and do it in 2. So we make our way back out through the stairs to the side, and we're going to do the cannon phase again. Again, if you have aggro, meaning you have a dragon tooth on you, you do not want to use a cannon. Sometimes, to be safe, I equip a stability skill just in case. However, for me, it bugged out, so not only did I lose my... Not only do I not get stability, but I don't even have my on my mark. The pattern for the dragon tooths on these platforms is front, back, middle. That's why I hang out on that middle platform for a little longer. If you have a guardian, the only damaging attack that this boss does is that AoE ring. So you can drop Aegises, and your teammates don't even have to dodge for the boss. And once we beat that champion, we're on to fight Alpha for the last time. Most groups will stack to the left here, even without the SGF nerf. Again, it's just easier if you're all stacked up. I go ahead and pull him as a warrior. It's not the best because I have to cripple him to pull. And then we're just going to melee him down like normal. He has the exact same mechanics as the previous fight. You want to dodge into the corner about 2 seconds after the AoE rings, and he will randomly freeze one person in a purple crystal. One of the reasons we stack is because if someone is frozen in a purple crystal, it's easier to get that purple crystal destroyed in the stack. Also, if you go down, it's easier to revive you if you're in the stack. He will have little Uzis that run into him. If they manage to get to him, they'll heal him for a little bit. Not a big deal. Hopefully you can kill some of them with your melee cleave, but it just makes the fight a little longer. So we killed Alpha. We managed to dodge all his AoE rings by dodging 2 seconds after they appear into the corner, and we beat the dungeon. Spire bugged out for us a little bit down here. Usually all you have to do is kill the little Uzis that come out of Alpha, and the event and dungeon will end, but you got caught up on that wall. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys.